Welcome to another episode of An Inside Job, War on Addiction. This is the second show today, and I'm talking with Chanelle. I'm trying to figure out where we were. And everybody to include these people in here like to say Chanelle number 5. Everybody says that. To include me, but you're back. You're back, and you have, let's say, 14 months, maybe? Yeah. So let's talk about that, how it's been for that 14 months.
It's, I think you're just talking to you about it. It's kind of like a day-by-day thing at this point, and we were talking about on the way up here, I've kind of cut back from like a 12-step program, which not the smartest thing to do at that point. But kind of, I've been working 2 jobs at this point, and trying to basically save up for myself. Get the apartment and then the car and go from there. But the struggle of, I know I need the meetings. And attending is my biggest struggle at this point, is actually making time for that. I do have a sponsor that I talk to regularly.
Okay.
But again,
What'd she say? Oh, it's got to be a girl.
Oh, yeah.
About the meetings.
She reminded me of the complacency and my past of that complacency. And I mean, she's absolutely right. There is no, for the addict or alcoholic to skip what was working for them before is dangerous. And sometimes I put that, oh, well, I'm too tired because I've been working this day or this day. But then the reality sets in that I was never too tired to go and get high. I was never too tired to go and get drunk. I was never too tired to go meet my dealer. Like, there's these things that I have to remember and like keep up front. For my own survival, and then that's basically what it is for my own survival. Everything has been going okay, study-wise. Like I said, I'm working. I'm saving for the apartment. I'm saving for the car. I'm mending the relationships that I've broken. I'm gaining some trust back. So things are going good.
I want to interject.
Yeah.
And we had this conversation. And I said, we have you on tape, all right? It was 1 or 2. And you said, I got complacent, all right? It's on tape. But that's the insidious, I don't know how to pronounce the last part, of this, I'll say disease, all right? But it goes so much deeper than that.
Right.
Listening to an addict saying just what you said, and you know it. Yeah, I'm working. I had to do 2 jobs to save up to do this. But you know, we have you on tape and you know it, but still, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about so many people that I've watched do the same thing. 5 years, I'm cured. 5 years. I'm in this relationship now. 5 years, 3 years.
And that's where the problem falls. I know for myself, I get so comfortable that everything's going okay, that I think I have it under control. And the reality is that as soon as I think I have it under control, it is now out of control.
That's a good one. I like that.
It's just how I realize things in that point. And there is no control when you're fighting an addiction. There's no control over that. You can have control over, you can have control over your actions. You can have control over how you go about your recovery. But in the same way as, when we had picked up and we had become physically and chemically dependent, we had no control over our thought process at that point. It was always about, this is how I'm going to do this. This is why I want to do this. No one else matters. Only I matter. Only getting high matters, or drunk, or whatever you preferred at that point. And that's where things got out of control. And for myself, it's my life starts to become out of control when I think I have the control. And I don't notice it. People have to point it out, like, hey, you're acting crazy right now, or hey, you're forgetting to do this, or you're forgetting to do that. And the stuck up part of me is, I know what's best for my life, and how dare you? And then the recovery part of me kind of like realizes that they're right. And for the addict or alcoholic, like, you cannot work recovery by yourself.
No.
And you can to a degree, like, when it comes to, if you choose to do the step work, that's obviously something that you and your sponsor would share, or whoever you do that with. But, you're in a group of people who share the same problem as you.
Right.
And that's where, like, my problem comes in, like we just talked about. It's on tape, me saying, when this happens, this happens. When I don't do this, this happens. But it's, we had talked about it earlier, I'd kind of stepped away from my area, like the area I live in, going to that town's meetings. And it's nothing, like, personal against anybody. It's what I started to see. I started to see, when we're new in recovery, we don't know what we're doing in life, and we're kind of trying to fit in here and fit in there, and you adapt those behaviors of other people. And there was a couple things that I had a problem with, of I'll share something with someone and, the whole room knew it. And that's where my uncomfortability came in and my resentments came in. But that's not to say everybody in the 12-step program is like that. There are people in there who will take your secrets with them until they die, and who do genuinely want to help you. But in my area right now, I'm not finding that too much. There's still a lot of good people in there. There's still a lot of people who are willing to help. But my trust level was kind of altered, and I started to branch out to other towns. And in another town, I have found a sponsor, and she has 26 years sober. She's working a program. She does really great. And I'm listening to her in that aspect. And I found that me branching out and trying to basically make my recovery group a little bigger.
But it's tough going to another meeting, right?
Right.
You don't know anybody.
It's like a child transferring from school to school.
Right.
You don't know what to do. It's,
Right.
do I sit at the lunch table by myself?
Right.
Like, am I going to do this?
Right.
And you're trying to figure out, like, where you belong in that area. And what I found with that is that, for the most part, the people who have their recovery together, who really want to stay sober, aren't judging others because they've been there, and they're welcoming, and they know the routine, and they know that it's scary, and no matter how old you are, you walk into a new setting and now you have to adapt, and that can be nerve-wracking for people, which is why a lot of people don't come back or they stay away. First impressions have a lot to do with it. If you're in a meeting and an argument happens, or you hear someone talking about somebody else, that might deter you from coming back. You might think, well, this isn't the group for me. What if they do that to me? So I think it just really depends on the group and the recovery of that group. And I found some good recovery in other places. Going to meetings, though, again, like we talked about, it was, I'm too tired to do this, I'm too tired to do that. And that's when I had to snap myself back into, I wasn't too tired to run. I wasn't too tired to go meet the dealer. I wasn't too tired for this. And then if I'm at work, like, they have online meetings you can do, online recovery stuff. So if I'm working and I have a break, I'll do that. The literature's still there, but it's really the interaction with other alcoholics and addicts that help us and help the individual within themselves.
Let me just say, again, you had said before, you were alone, and that basically you were saying it's almost impossible if you're not going. Recovery, it's recovery. Can you recover at home? I don't know. But what I'm saying is there are so many people doing it all along. We call it white knuckling it. You're all alone. You can't do it alone.
Right.
In my opinion, there are some.
There are
That's
some.
their choice.
Yep. I've met some people who they don't do any type of 12-step program. They're just abstinent. They just don't
Right.
drink or they don't use. And that might work for them. I know personally it doesn't work for me. And then I met some people who can only do that for so long until the cycle keeps going.
Yeah.
But I know for myself, my biggest downfall is my own complacency. And in a way, my own selfishness. Like, I get very selfish of, it doesn't matter, I'm not hurting anybody else, so I can do this. And that's the same mindset I had when I was using. And the reality is when I don't work a 12-step program, when I don't talk to other sober people, I am hurting the ones that I'm trying to fix the relationship with, because now they're seeing the same patterns and the same behaviors, and it's, oh, she's not going to change. And they brace themselves for that relapse, and inevitably we push each other away. So I've learned that that is a behavior I actually need to change and kind of work on within myself. But again, right now, it's tough too, because you're balancing, when you're a teenager in recovery, you know, you have your guardian or your parent or whoever basically guiding you and telling you what to do. When you're an adult in recovery, you now have to learn to live all over again while balancing bills and balancing, you know, relationships and family and trying to get back what you lost and just balance a life in general with your recovery. And I keep them separate. I keep my personal life and my recovery separate. Because there's a lot of people in my life who aren't in recovery, who don't have a problem with drugs or alcohol.
Right.
And they don't need to kind of be involved in that. So it's really like learning how to live again as a sober person. And that comes with working a job or two jobs, saving up to be on your own, or saving up for the car you want, or saving up for this, or saving up for that. Budgeting out your bills and just trying to be responsible, because that's something I wasn't when I was using. I wasn't responsible in any way, shape, or form. Right.
There's only one thing that matters.
Right, and that was my mind, my set, and my focus from the second I woke up to the second I passed out, and
Right.
that was my only focus.
Right. I think also going to AA, you hear it. You know, you hear the stories, like at a midday when it's just discussion. You hear the stories. He went out, or I went out. Just the other day, I was talking to the girl that sits behind me. She was going to come on the show, actually, and she picked up. You know, she picked up. It doesn't get any better out there, does it?
No.
No.
Every time it gets worse
Yeah,
and worse and shorter
right,
and shorter.
right.
I've never had a run that I could actually say was, I had fun, that was great.
Yeah.
I mean, probably when I was younger, yeah, because there was really no sense of consequence with it.
Right.
And I had that belief that, like, I will never be chemically dependent. I'll never use needles. I'll never be dependent. I'll never need a detox. I'll never go to jail. And all those nevers turned into a once again. But there was really no sense of responsibility. There was no consequence for it. And then once I was older, no run ever was fun. There was no fun time. You might have good memories depending on what you were doing. Like if you're with a group of friends and you had went out drinking, it was a fun night. Okay, that could be considered fun. But the waking up and being sick and trying to get a hold of this dealer or that dealer and trying to scrounge up this amount of money because they won't do 20s, they only do 50s, and now you're robbing this person, now you're doing this, and you're going on and on and on for one bag to do the same thing in 2 hours. That's no longer fun. That's a full-time job. That's just a ridiculous amount of your day wasted on trying to get high.
All consuming.
Right.
That's
Right.
it. That's it.
And for most people, they have a couple months sober or a couple years and they go back out and they die because now their body can't handle what they thought they could do. There's a place for a Section 35 where they have a binder just full.
Explain that again, the Section 35.
A Section 35. A Section 35, I know they changed the rules a little bit.
Oh.
I'm not sure exactly, or I'm not sure if family can section you anymore, but it's basically a section to a detox. You are a ward of the state. The state will come and arrest you. Well, the police in your town will arrest you. The judge will sign the warrant.
But how does that begin? If your family can't do it anymore?
Well, at first, I'm not sure. I have to look more into it. It's just what I heard. But at first, it could either be a spouse or a family member, immediate family member. They go into the court. They fill out a big form of why you're a danger to yourself or others. Your amount of drug use, and the judge will decide that if you're a danger or not to yourself or others. If the judge decides that you need a detox, you need help, they'll place a warrant out for your arrest. They come and arrest you.
Has that happened to you?
A couple times.
That must be fun, huh?
Great time.
Do you know the cops are coming, or?
For the most part, no. There was once where my family had told me they were going to section me, so I kind of had an idea. But then there was a couple times where I was caught off guard, and you are transferred to a detox. If you have any behavior issues in the detox, they do transfer you over to a jail. I don't know if it's still like that. It's been a while. But you can't leave, and that's the difference of voluntarily going to a detox, where you can leave whenever you want and sign yourself out. In this case, you can't until they decided. But they do give you the option to go into further treatment. So if you really want it, if you really want the help, that's something I would do. I know
but they didn't do that for you that time.
One of WotC was a place I went to, and they were amazing.
Right.
There was a new one in Jamaica Plain where they did not, and they just kind of, she's too much, get her out, and they just kind of left you high and dry. But the first one I had went to, they were a great place, and their counselors are actually
But it's very difficult to get in, right? No?
Not for a section, no. A detox, yes, because you're waiting. The section, though, is a mandatory, it's almost like a jail, but a detox. There's no leaving when you want to leave. You're leaving when they decide you're leaving. It could be 30 to 90 days. Some people leave in 14. Some people leave in 20. Some people stay the whole 90 until they wait for treatment.
Oh, so it can be 90.
It could be 90
days.
There was one time where I did section myself, and it was because at that point, I know I needed the help, but I know as soon as I start craving or get a little upset, I'm leaving the detox. So I did section myself, so I couldn't leave. There was no, I was stuck. And it helped for a while, but within that detox, they had a whole binder of girls who left the detox or left the section and died the same day because they went back out because they didn't want to be there in the first place. They were just waiting to leave, and because they had, 14 days or 30 days or 90 days, they went back out and used and died that same day. And seeing that binder was just such a wake-up call of, your body can only handle so much.
You just told a story of my granddaughter, 27 years old, that exact story. She left, and within a week or two, and she went out with another person, romance, detox romance, and she was dead in 2 weeks. 27, man, 27. But go ahead. So Section 35. Now, the 90 days, you can leave at any time. No, you are in.
You are in there. There's, you used to be able to smoke there. They took that away. But when you went outside to smoke, there was a big fence. They had the barbed wire on the fence. You were locked in there. It was a locked facility. There was no leaving.
And who makes that determination?
The judge. The judge will make the determination for you to go. The judge can sentence you up to 90 days there. And for the most part, it's always 90 days, but that doesn't mean you'll stay the full 90.
Really?
Yeah, you won't always stay the full 90. It's rare that you do. But the clinicians there, they're basically counselors. They all have a team meeting, and they kind of decide, is she ready to leave? Does she want further treatment? They do give you the option. You have the option to go to further treatment, or you have the option to go wherever you came from at that point. If you're homeless, though, they usually don't let you leave. They will place you before.
But it can't be more than 90 days, or can it?
I'm sure it can. I never stayed past the 90, so I'm not sure exactly how that worked. I know if you really want to get sober and you know you're going to leave detox, then that would probably be the place for you. It's not the nicest. Like, it's not a detox where, you know, you're not doing anything and you're just kind of hanging out. And it's almost like a jail, but for detox.
Is it structured? Or the one you
It's
went
structured,
to?
yeah. It's I had went to two of them. I had went to WotC, which was the main one, but because of overcrowding, they actually built another section in Jamaica Plain. But when I went to WotC, there was you're basically the first couple days they'll give you the option to sleep, kind of sleep everything off and help you in that way. But then the rest of the days
are they
groups.
giving you medication?
If you choose.
Okay.
If you choose. They kind of detox you how you want to be detoxed. But then there's groups the rest of the day, and your day is very structured. And again, they give you the option for further treatment. It's not, they're not telling you what to do at that point, but they're educating you on what you can do and your options. But compared to the regular detox, it's definitely more strict. Again, the regular detox, you can leave at any point. And that's kind of the problem we had talked about before. People are going there just to get off the street, and then they leave, and the person who really wanted that bed to get help has now died.
Right.
And that's kind of the problem that we're facing.
Not enough.
There's just not enough. There's just really not enough facilities.
That's why the system is broken.
Right.
An addict, I've said it before, we've said it before,
Right.
An addict can't get in for 2 weeks because there aren't any beds, there's no place to go.
Right.
And what's an addict gonna do?
Right. They're going to go back to the same thing that they were doing because mine as well. And I think if they put the funding towards, you know, longer stays at a detox, because realistically it's about a week, and then you're out on the street and that's it. You're back to where you came from. For the person who doesn't really want it, they just want to get off the street, that's fine and dandy. But for the person who really wants that treatment, that's a problem.
But it's insidious because you're explaining what that is. That it, you know, I'm getting to the reasons. No, to have people try to understand how crazy this thing is. I mean, you are saying right now, even though you said that, and I'm not harping on you, it's just this whole thing, in that in some way you're doing the same thing as you did before. It's so, and he says it, it's all those things. It's not all of them for everybody, but a person, in my opinion, needs a lot of help and a lot of time. I like to go down to Worcester. I haven't been down there a lot, but a drug court, all right, a drug court. And I think a lot of things can stem out of that, but it has to be long term, and it has to be that you want treated like a piece of dirt. Right. So, and to help.
Right. And that's it's such a short stay of, we're going to place you for a week, and then you might get into a program, but you might not.
Right.
And I think that's where like it's broken and falls short, is they're not paying for extended treatment, which realistically I get it, but at the same time, I guess as an addict, it's kind of, it's almost heartbreaking to know that, like, you know, they'll pay for other things in life for other people, but they're not paying for that treatment that could potentially save somebody else.
Yeah.
But that also comes from how many people are just a revolving door, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Insurance isn't going to want to pay for someone who's probably going to be back in another week just to get off the street, and that's the problem. It almost feels like it's divided. Like there's a half who are really serious and they want to get help and they want to stay sober, and then there's a half that just, they're using it because it's an option for right now, and have no seriousness about them and trying to stay sober. But those are the ones that people are looking at and those are the ones that they're judging everybody else off of.
Well, let me just say, we have about 4 minutes left, so it might stop and we, we're in the middle of things. So just
No problem.
for us to understand, we could do all day. You and I could do all day of this
Yep.
thing. And I'm going to ask you back and how your life is. But one of the biggest things about this show, or what the reason I'm doing to explain to people a lot of things, but the guy may be at home white knuckling it or still using to understand that there's hope.
There is.
There's
There
hope.
absolutely is.
If you, but it's just so tough
Right.
to focus on your recovery.
Right.
I've been sober 37 years, but I've been through so many things. I've never really stopped going, but
Right.
I always had one foot in, but things could take over. But it's long term,
Right.
and for people to be able to learn something.
Right.
All right, we're going to get you back on again, and we're going to wrap it up at that, if that's all right with you, Bradley. So, so that's it.
All right.